When I ask my students what questions they find the hardest in IELTS reading, I often hear the matching questions. So today, I'm going to give you the strategies that have already helped thousands of our students understand how these questions work and find more correct answers. We'll look at all 4 types and solve some practice questions together, so you can immediately apply the skills you learn in practice. Let's start with matching paragraph information. There is a reason I'm starting with this one. If you're using the Cambridge books 19 or 20, you've probably seen a lot of these, and they can be tricky. So let's have a look at the task first, and then I'll give you proven strategies for finding the answers. So first of all, read the title, A New Rule for Livestock Guard Dogs, and also read the subtitle. Livestock guard dogs, traditionally used to protect farm animals from predators, are now being used to protect the predators themselves. Okay, so now we know what we are reading about. Now, the task. The question is, which paragraph contains the following information? And we need to find specific information, specific details in those paragraphs. And below we see our questions, 27 to 31. And notice the instruction says, reading passage 3 has 7 paragraphs, A to G. So if your answer is the first paragraph, you write the letter A, not the number 1. Also, always check for this note. You may use any letter more than once. Some tasks have it, others don't. When you see it in practice, it usually means one paragraph has 2 answers. So let's continue with our strategy. Read all the statements and highlight your keywords if you take your exam on paper or when you practice. Do this before you go into the passage so you know what you're looking for. And when you highlight, split your keywords into 2 kinds mentally. Unchangeable keywords, these are names, numbers, and special terms. Those don't usually get reworded, and you can scan the passage for them. Changeable keywords are ordinary words, and the passage will almost always paraphrase them. If a statement says, keep predators away, the passage might say, chase them away. So look for the meaning, not the exact word. One more thing about the meaning of this task. In matching information, you're looking for a specific detail inside a paragraph. A fact, an example, a reference. You're not describing what the whole paragraph is about. And that's the difference from matching headings. And I'll show you that difference properly a bit later. But now, the next step is to read paragraph A, try to match it, and if there is no answer or you can't find it, move on. Don't waste too much time. And remember, we have 7 paragraphs in our task and 5 questions, so some paragraphs won't be matched. You may read the whole paragraph and it contains no answer. Don't reread them if you can't see an answer. Just finish the whole passage first and then go back to any question you couldn't answer. Let's do exactly that now. And before I show you the answers, I want you to try it yourself and count how many questions you get right across the whole video and tell me in the comments at the end. I read them and I like to see how your preparation's going. So let's start with paragraph A. I want you to try to find the answer yourself. So pause the video and resume once you're ready. Okay, let's look into it together. So paragraph A gives us the history. I looked down my 5 statements and none of them is about this. So I leave A for now. Don't reread it. Let's move to B. Pause the video and find the answer. Okay, here we read that the dogs place themselves between the livestock and any threat, and they bark loudly. And if they have to, they chase the predators away. And now look at question 29, a description of how the methods used by livestock guard dogs help to keep predators away. They bark, they stand in the way, they chase. So question 29 is B. Now, paragraph C, solve this question now. Pause the video. Okay, let's have a look at the answer. We get evidence. In Portugal, more than 90% of farmers rated the dogs as very good or excellent. And then there is a study in Australia that found that predation, or basically predators, stopped. So different researchers, same message. Guard dogs work. Look at question number 30. Claims by different academics or different researchers that the use of livestock guard dogs is a successful way of protecting farmers' herds. So different academics protecting the herds. Question 30 is C. And the last paragraph we're going to solve together, paragraph D. Go ahead and pause the video. This one is about Namibia. Cheetahs live close to farms, so farmers blame them for losses and kill them. But when guard dogs were brought in, livestock losses dropped, and farmers became less likely to kill the cheetahs. So the dogs are protecting a predator. Look at question 27. An example of how one predator has been protected by the introduction of livestock guard dogs. Question 27 is D. And notice what we just did. We didn't answer these in the number order. We found 29, then 30, then 27, and there was no answer in paragraph A. So start by reading the paragraph and selecting your answers wherever they are. Go through the whole paragraph, then come back to those questions you couldn't answer the first time round. So that's matching information. And this task may remind you of another one, but they work very differently. So let's go to matching headings. With matching headings, you see the task before you see the passage. But I still want you to go to the passage and read the title. Can the planet's coral reefs be saved? Okay, that's our topic. Now let's look at the task. What's interesting about matching headings is that that's the task that comes before the passage, as I've just mentioned. And this is the only task in IELTS reading that does it. The task is choose the correct heading for each section from the list of headings below. And you see a box with the list of headings. So let me walk you through the step. That's our strategy. And it will help you to make this task more manageable because I know it can be quite difficult. So step 1, read the passage title, which we've just done. Step 2, read all the headings and highlight the keywords in each one, particularly if you take your exam on paper or if you're practicing on paper. If you take your exam on computer, you can highlight keywords, but it just takes more time. So it's a big question of whether it's worth it. But for now, do it. And 2 rules. Each heading can be used only once, and there are more headings than sections. So some headings will be left over and never used, but all the sections in the passage will be matched to a heading. So that's different to matching information or matching paragraph information, where not all paragraphs were matched. Next, you read the whole section. You may have heard there are some shortcuts or hacks, like read only the first sentence of each paragraph. It doesn't work. This task is designed to make you read everything because the main idea is often in the middle. The other shortcut that fails is looking for the same words in the heading and in the section. So the main keywords are almost always paraphrased. Yes, you may find the same surname or the same date, but the idea will be expressed using different words. And step 4, match the meaning, not the words. If you're hesitating between two headings, write both down and put a question mark. Or if you can't find it at all, just leave it and move on. You come back once other sections are done. And by then, some headings will already be used and there will be fewer headings to choose from. Alright, let's solve some together. As before, keep counting your correct answers. Let's start with section A. Read it, try to match, and then resume the video. Okay, section A describes the giant artificial reef at London Zoo. Let's say I'm not that sure which heading fits yet. So here is what I do. I leave section A for now and come back to it later. Let's do it for the sake of learning. So section B. Pause the video to find the answer and then resume it. Okay, this is about how corals actually work. So the polyps are transparent, but they get their color from algae that live inside them. The algae get protection and in return provide nutrients for the polyps. So both sides help each other. Look at the heading 2, Cooperation Beneath the Waves. That's exactly what this is. Beneath the waves is in the sea. Okay, section B is 2. Notice, by the way, there is no repeated word. The passage never says cooperation. It describes a relationship where each side helps the other. So you had to match the meaning. Now, section C. Pause the video now. So here, coral reefs get called the rainforests of the sea. But this comparison is dismissed by some naturalists, including David Attenborough. And it means he disagrees with that comparison. And look at heading 4, disagreement about the accuracy of a certain phrase. So the phrase is rainforests of the sea. Section C is 4. Now, imagine we've carried on and solved the rest of the section. Let's say the headings for D, E, and F are now taken, and the answers we've used are 7, 4, and 6. So those are gone. Now we can go back to section A, the one we left before, and this time we've got far fewer headings to choose from. In section A, look closely at the second part. Paul Pierce Kelly says they want to show people how wonderful corals are. And they also want to highlight the research and conservation efforts being done to save them. So these are two things they want to do. Both are about teaching the public. And look at heading 5. 2 clear educational goals. So section A is 5. See why leaving A until the end helped. By the time we came back, most headings were used and the answer was much easier to spot. So that's matching headings. And before we move to the next type, I want to say that we're only solving a few questions today because I want to keep this video, well, I wouldn't say short, but not terribly long. But I do publish all my reading and listening strategies for free here on YouTube. And I've got detailed videos on every question type. And if you download my free IELTS study plan, it will help you find those videos easily so you can make sure you cover every area you need before you test. I'll leave a link to download it in the video description box below. Okay, on to our next task. And the next task has one feature that can help you solve it, and it's called matching features. Okay, let's open it. As always, we read the title first. Robots and Us. 3 leaders in their fields answer questions about our relationships with robots. So that's what we're reading about. And we also know there are 3 experts, and the passage is built around their views. By the way, this is passage 3, the most complex one. Now, let's look at the task. Match each statement with the correct expert A, B, or C. And always pay attention to this line. You may use any letter more than once. In this case, we just have 3 names, so we're gonna use each name multiple times. But sometimes you may have a long list of names, and yes, you need to check if you can use one of the names or any of the names multiple times. Usually it would mean using one of the names twice. So let's walk through our strategy. We've covered step 1. Next, read the options in the box. So we've got 3 experts and the options are their names. Next, statements are not in order. If you start with the first statement, question 27, and start looking for your answer, you're gonna waste a lot of time. Instead, we'll be looking for those names in the passage. So you scan for those names, and when you find them, you start reading more carefully. And also highlight all the names. Sometimes, matching features is the second task in the section. So when you're solving the first task, and you're reading the passage, highlight every name as you go. Even if you take your IELTS on computer, it's really worth your time. And there is something else that can be quite useful. Options in the box are in order. So we're gonna read about Martin Rees first, then Daniel Wolpert, then Kathleen Richardson, and then we're gonna read about them again. In this particular task, we only have 3 names, but sometimes you may have a long list of names, and then knowing that those names come in order in the passage is quite useful. Next, read the statements and highlight your keywords so you know what each one is about before you start reading. And then start quickly reading the text, looking for the first name. Slow down when you find it. Read what it says about it, try to match it. Continue reading the text, and so on. So let's walk through the passage by name from the top. So in the first paragraph, the first name I found is Martin Rees, talking about colonizing other planets and mining asteroids. I read what he says, I check it against my statements, and nothing matches here. So that's fine. Not every mention gives you an answer. Move on to the next name. Next is Daniel Wolpert. Pause the video to find the answer and resume it when you're ready. So, Wolpert says he doesn't see a pressing need to colonize other planets unless we can bring the resources back to Earth, and that using robots to gather resources nearer to home would be a better use of our robotic tools. Now read question 31. Robots are probably of more help to us on Earth than in space. Yes, that's the same meaning. So, question 31 is B. Keep scanning. The next name is Kathleen Richardson. Pause the video. Richardson is talking about the idea of meeting the other. So I check my statements and none of them matches this bit. So move on. Now Reese comes back. Let's solve this question now. Pause the video. So he's talking about robots becoming more advanced. And he asks whether we should feel guilty about exploiting sophisticated robots or worry they're underemployed, frustrated, or bored. Look at question 30. We may have to start considering whether we're treating robots fairly. Well, feeling guilty about exploiting them and worrying if they're frustrated, that's the question of treating them fairly. So question 30 is A. And notice the name Reese didn't give us an answer the first time we found it, but he did the second time. And that's exactly why you read every mention of a name, not just the first. Let's do one more question. Pause the video now. So we found Volpert again. And he says machines can already navigate, remember, and search better than us. But no machine can identify objects or speech as reliably as a human. And expecting a machine close to human creative intelligence within the next 50 years would be highly ambitious. Well, look at question 29. It may take decades for robot intelligence to be as imaginative as human intelligence. So highly ambitious within 50 years means many decades, and creative lines up with imaginative. So question 29 is B. So we read the passage quickly, scanning by name, and we read around each name more carefully. And we found answers to questions 31, then 30, then 29, completely out of order. So follow the names, not the question numbers. Ready to switch to matching sentence endings? One thing is different in matching sentence endings in comparison with the 3 tasks we've looked into today so far. So let me show you. We're staying with the same passage, robots and us, but the task is complete each sentence with the correct ending A to D below. And we have 3 questions, 34 to 36. And we have 4 potential endings, A, B, C, D. Here's how it works. The most important thing first. Matching sentence endings comes in order. So the answer to question 34 comes before the answer to 35, and that before 36. Step 1. Read the beginning of each sentence and underline your keywords. Then read all the endings in the box and pay close attention to endings that look similar to each other because they are easy to confuse. And you'll see one of those in a moment. And here is a great tip. When you join a beginning to an ending, read the whole sentence back to yourself and make sure it's grammatically correct. The right answer always makes a proper sentence. If the 2 halves don't fit together grammatically, that ending is wrong, even if the meaning looks close. So skim the passage to find the relevant part, then slow down and match the meaning. If 2 endings feel possible for a sentence, note them both and come back later. I can tell you that in this passage, matching sentence endings is the second task. The first task was matching features, which you've just seen. And to match all those features, you'd have to read the whole text. So when we switch to matching sentence endings, we start working on our passage from the beginning. Ready to solve some questions together? They're quite tricky, so I do encourage you to stay and try to solve them. So these come in order. We know the answer to question 34 is somewhere near the top. So let's solve this question first. So first of all, we read the question 34. Richardson and Rees express similar views regarding the ethical aspect of. So Richardson and Rees, these are the two names we're looking for. We need something where they agree with each other about the ethical aspects of something. So we start reading the passage from the start, and the first paragraphs are about their answers to the first question. Should robots be used to colonize other planets? And Rees said colonized planets should be preserved with a status like Antarctica. And Richardson said the whole idea of colonizing other planets seems morally dubious. Dubious means you're unclear if something is right or wrong. So both of them are uneasy about the ethics of changing other planets for our own use. So let's look at our endings. Now, be careful here. There is a trap. Ending A is robots to explore outer space. It's tempting because they are talking about space, but it's not really about the ethics of exploring space. It's about the ethics of changing other planets, and that's ending C, changes made to other planets for our own benefit. And if we read the sentence beginning and ending together, it's grammatically correct. So question 34 is C. Let's do just one more question. 35. Pause the video, find your answer, and then resume it. Question 35 says, Rees and Wolpert share an opinion about the extent of. So let's continue reading the passage, and we come to the second question the experts were asked. How soon will machine intelligence outstrip human intelligence? When will robots become smarter than we are? Rees said robots can beat us at chess, but are still limited in sensing their environment. And Wolpert said in some ways machine intelligence has already outstripped ours. But no machine can identify objects or speech as reliably as a human. So both are talking about how far machine intelligence has actually come so far. And that's ending B, advances made in machine intelligence so far. So question 35 is B. We're not going to do question 36 today, but to answer it, we would continue reading the passage. Matching sentence endings is one of the matching tasks where questions do come in order. And that's all for matching types. So how did it go for you? Across the 4 question types, we solved 11 questions together. How many did you get right? Tell me in the comments. I'd like to see how your preparation is coming along. And if you want to go deeper on any question types or want to follow a more structured study plan, feel free to download mine. It's completely free and it will help you cover every area you need before your test. It's linked in the video description. And thank you so much for watching me today. Good luck with your preparation and your exam.